What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, taking a look at the Stokastic NFL DFS lineup generator for Thursday Night Football between the Bears and the Panthers. In this video, I'm going to take a look at both DraftKings and FanDuel, getting this video out a little bit later than usual. So we're going to do them both together in this video. I'll start with some DraftKings lineups, then I'll do some FanDuel lineups as well. While you're coming in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. If you haven't yet signed up for the lineup generator, it is just $14.95 per week. That includes both DraftKings and FanDuel. It includes main slates. It includes every primetime showdown slate. All of that included for that price for just $14.95 per week. I think it is the best value in the entire industry because that is a very low price point, and this is a very powerful tool because every lineup you get in the Stokastic lineup generator has been run through the Stokastic Sims. Any lineup that was run through the Sims and was not found to be a long-term profitable lineup has been thrown out. So these should all be good lineups you're getting here in the lineup generator. All right, let's start and take a look at some DraftKings Showdown lineups. I'm going to do chalky lineups here. This is a change that I've made recently. Actually, no, I'm going to do all lineups. We're going to get a mix of chalky, balance, and contrarian. I found that you can find good large field GPP lineups in every one of these buckets. Initially, I didn't really want to do the chalky lineups just because I was worried they were going to be too duplicated. But you can actually find lineups because of the construction that are chalky in terms of ownership, but are still not going to be duplicated a ton and look pretty good for these showdown slates. So I'm going to do all lineups here. I'm also going to use standard projections if you want to predict a specific game script. That's what these four options are for. For me, I'm just going to use standard projections. All right, first lineup we look at. See, this one leaving 6,500 on the table. Probably not going to be duped a ton. Right away, you can see that. This one also uses neither of the quarterbacks. We've got Adam Thielen in the captain spot with Miles Sanders and Terrace Marshall from the Panthers. It's a 3-3 lineup. We've got Darnell Mooney, Roschon Johnson, and Tyson Bagent from the Bears. Oh, I was wrong. We do have a quarterback in here for the Bears. We've got Bagent in there paired with Darnell Mooney for this one, but leaving 6,500 on the table. I think this looks like a nice lineup. You can see it projects for around 70 fantasy points, 141% total ownership. So we can use those as our benchmarks looking forward. 70 fantasy points in this one. Doesn't use anybody who's super contrarian here. Our lowest owned player being Miles Sanders at 15%. We've got Thielen and the captain at 16%. Really a fairly chalky lineup. Looking, you can see down here, it's not very chalky. I don't know that we have that many players who are super chalky on this slate. Probably Thielen in the flex spot will be one of our chalkier players. We do have Bagent here at 48%, but overall, not a super chalky lineup, despite not having any very contrarian plays within it, and we're leaving 6,500 on the table. So I like this right away. There's one lineup I would use. All right, second lineup. So this one projects a little bit better. You can see projects for more than 5 more fantasy points. Still leaves 2,300 on the table. This one I don't think I would use. The reason being Bryce Young in the captain spot. If I have Bryce Young in the captain spot, I prefer to have at least one Panthers pass catcher in the flex. Now, obviously, this can work. Wouldn't make it into the lineup generator if it was not found to be a long-term plus EV lineup. But I feel like this one's going to have better min cash equity than actually taking first place equity. I could be wrong. Maybe Bryce Young, scores a rushing touchdown, throws a passing touchdown to a player who's not in the player pool. There are ways, obviously, for this to work, but I think it's a little bit too thin for me. So I think I'm going to pass on this one. All right, now we have Bryce Young with Terrace Marshall. I like that better. Bryce Young, I'd be more inclined to play him. If I'm not going to play him with a pass catcher, I'd rather have him in the flex. But here we have Bryce Young with Terrace Marshall in this one. We don't have Bagent in this one. I've double-checked. We've got Foreman in the captain spot, and then Roschon Johnson in the flex. So that's kind of interesting, having both running backs from the Bears in this one. No super low-owned plays. Does project for 69.5 fantasy points. That's pretty nice. Leaving 6,100 on the table. I like this lineup quite a bit. This is a lineup that I would use for sure. So there's two. Now this lineup, we've got Chuba Hubbard in the captain with the Panthers defense. We have Bagent once again paired with Cole Kmet, and then we have Deontay Foreman and Bears defense. A double defense lineup makes a lot of sense on a slate like this one. We have projects for 71.5 fantasy points, leaves 5,000 on the table. No correlations that I dislike. Looks like a great lineup for me. This is a third lineup that absolutely looks like a viable large field GPP lineup to me. So there you have it. Three lineups out of the first 4, I think, that I looked at look like really strong large field GPP lineups to me. Now I'm just going to go through and save until I get to the end of the video, we'll take a look at our exposures. Not the end of the video, the end of this part of the video on DraftKings. Then we'll take a look at FanDuel as well. By the way, I don't know if I said it, but you can find the link if you're looking to sign up for the lineup generator. The link is in the description of this video. You can use that to find the lineup generator if you want to sign up for yourself and check it out. I generally recommend running the lineup generator as close to lock as possible. For NFL, that really just means after you get inactives, maybe give it 15, 20 minutes so that in case there are any updates we need to run. And then after that, you're good to go. But I run it after inactives for sure. But for right now, we've got 55% Adam Thielen, 53% Tyson Bagent, 45% Terrace Marshall, 40% of Panthers and Bryce Young, 38% Jonathan Mingo, and then a bunch of Bears there. Pretty spread out in terms of our exposures overall. Who's our cheapest? We got Terrace Marshall. Yeah, making it into a lot of lines. Makes sense. He's probably going to have, probably going to be out there a lot with DJ Chark out tonight. Terrace Marshall going to have a big role here for the Panthers. Looks like a nice lineup set. All right, let's take a look at some FanDuel lineups as well. I'm going to do all lineup types once again, and I'm going to use standard projections. Taking longer than usual. I'm not sure what's going on. Might be my internet, but maybe I'll have to try. Okay, there we go. All right. So now we have DJ Moore in the MVP spot. This one does not have any quarterback sense. We got DJ Moore in there with Cole Kmet and Deontay Foreman from the Bears. And then we have Terrace Marshall and Chuba Hubbard from the Panthers. 7% owned DJ Moore in the MVP spot. Nobody else super low. We do have just 11% ownership going to Terrace Marshall on FanDuel. That's really low ownership for Terrace Marshall. I would guess it comes in higher than that, but you never know. There are only 5 players in each lineup on FanDuel. This one leaving 5,500 on the table. Looks really nice. Projects for 49.5 fantasy points. This is a lineup that I would use for a large field GPP. I think this one makes a lot of sense. Let's keep looking. So remember, this one projects for about 49.5 fantasy points, 104% ownership. Not much different here. Projects for about 50 fantasy points. We've got kicker Eddie Pinheiro in the MVP spot at just 2% ownership. So remember, because there is no salary multiplier on FanDuel, you actually need Pinheiro to be the highest scoring player in the lineup to be the optimal MVP. We've got the Panthers D in here. So from the Panthers, no skill position players, no quarterbacks. We're just playing the kicker and the defense. And then on the Bears, we've got Tyson Bagent with both Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. I like it. This lineup makes a lot of sense to me. Projects for about 50 fantasy points, leaves 6,500 on the table. Pinheiro being the one really low owned player here, and he's in the MVP spot, 2% ownership. So I like that lineup quite a bit. So there's 2. All right, now this one, we've got DJ Moore in the MVP spot without Tyson Bagent, 7% ownership going to Moore. We've got Bryce Young with 2 wide receivers in Adam Thielen and Jonathan Mingo. And then we have the Panthers defense as well. I like it. I think this looks like a great lineup. We're leaving 1,500 on the table. Projects really well, better than the other lineups we've looked at. Overall, this looks like a really strong large field GPP lineup. I do think this one is probably a lot more likely than the others to be duplicated a lot, in part because it's only leaving 1,500 on the table. But then just looking at the construction, we got quarterback with 2 wide receivers in the flex, and then the defense at 24% ownership. So this one, I have some concerns that this one will be duped a lot in a large field GPP, but leaving 15 on the table, maybe it's worth taking a shot and hoping for the best, hoping that it won't be as duplicated as you might as you might suspect. All right. Now I'm just going to go through and take a look at the end, see what our exposures look like. All right. So in the end, we have 50% Adam Thielen, 45% each of Foreman, Bagent, and Bryce Young and Jonathan Mingo. Excuse me. 42% Panthers defense, 40% Cole Kmet. Really not that many players represented in these lineups. And I think we got 40 here. Yeah, we got 40 lineups and not that many players, just a lot of different combos of the same players. There really aren't that many viable plays on this slate relative to a lot of slates. So it's really going to be all about getting unique with your constructions, leaving salary on the table, that kind of stuff, more than playing a lot of really low owned plays. Hit that like button if you have not already done so. If you want to sign up for the lineup generator, again, the link is in the description of this video. I think it's a fantastic deal, just $14.95 per week. So just check it out. If you haven't already done so, I'm going to log off here. I got a frog in my throat. Thank you for watching. Good luck tonight.